All right, good evening. Today, let's talk about risk management professional that we refer to as PMI-RMP. Is it worth it? Okay. Now, usually people kind of interchange these two words, risk and issue. They are not the same. Risk refers to event or occurrence that has not happened, is in the future, and it usually has two possible outcomes, positive or negative. So the outcome of risk could be positive or negative, while the issue is something that has occurred and the outcome is negative, and you need to address it. All right. So I'll be looking at this topic, PMI RMP explain. I'll be attempting to explain that and everything you need to know before you apply. Okay. And my name is Jumoke. So, what if I told you that the biggest reason projects fail is not poor planning? Because often people assume that when project fails, this is the project manager didn't plan well. You know, usually or often when project fail, it's not because they didn't plan well, and it's also not because there's no budget. It's not because maybe the budget was not made well. It is not even scope. It's not because the scope was not well defined. It is usually unmanaged risk. And if you have unmanaged risk, it's either you didn't identify the risk or you were overly optimistic. So the worst best project leaders don't wait for problems to happen. They are proactive. And there's difference between reacting and responding. When you react, you have not had the chance to think about the repercussions, the impact of your actions. Like it's a reflex. But when you respond, you have thought about it and you have kind of analyzed the outcome of your actions. And probably you have done what if scenarios, yes. So if you want to be successful, you cannot just be like a leaf that is being blown, everywhere. Okay, so the project managers that do well, they anticipate uncertainty, and that is what the risk management professional is all about. It helps you to um, handle uncertain situation. Remember, I said risk is defined as an event or an occurrence that would happen in the future. Future could be tomorrow, could be 1 week, could be 1 month, could be next year. So you anticipate an event or a situation would happen. And you can't tell. Sometimes you cannot tell categorically whether if it happens, it will be positive. If it happens, it will be negative. Sometimes too, you can tell, then you can prepare towards it. All right. So in this video, I would explain what PMI RMP really is, who should earn it, the eligibility requirements, the career benefits, and why organizations around the world are demanding more risk professionals than ever before. You remember in uh, in 2019/2020 when we had COVID, there is a research findings that actually pointed at organizations that survived or did well or responded well were organizations that had risk management culture. If you have risk management culture, you'll be able to manage risk. It is true that it is not every risk you'll be able to identify. So you will have risks that you identify, you have risks that you did not identify. The risk you identify, you would plan a response, and the response you would have quantified how much it will take to address such risk. So that will be contingency reserve, which will be part of the budget for the project. Then for risks that you were not able to analyze or identify, you'll be able to handle them should they become issues through what we call management reserve. So if you work in an organization that has risk management culture, you will always have contingency reserve and management reserve. So now let's roll. What is PMI RMP? Now, when you go to PMI.org, PMI RMP simply refers to one of the certifications of PMI. PMI stands for Project Management Institute. RMP stands for Risk Management Professional. Okay, so what is it? PMI RMP stands for Project Management Institute. Risk Management Professional. So if you have PMI-RMP, it means you have earned a certificate that says that you are a professional when it comes to risk management. And it's a globally recognized certification from PMI. When you go to pmi.org, and there is horizontal menu. You see certification, membership, learning, professional development, events. And you click on certification. It's a drop down menu, and it's in two columns. Column one, you have core certification, and then column two, you have specialized certification. So under core certification, you will see CAPM, PMP, PGMP, PFMP. And then under specialized certification, you will see uh, ACP, PMI ACP, that's Agent Certified Practitioner. You see RMP, PMI RMP Risk. You will see PBA, Professional in Business Analysis. You will see PMOCP, that's Project Management Office Certified Practitioner. You will see CSPP. You will see those courses or certifications. They are called specialized certifications. So RMP is one of PMI's specialized certification. And when you have it, it validates, just like PMP validates that you know how to lead people, manage processes, and you have business acumen. For RMP, it validates that you are able to identify risk, to analyze risk, to prioritize risk, to develop response strategies. We have response strategies for positive risk outcomes, and then negative risk as outcome. So if you are RMP certified, what it's telling us is that you can develop response strategies and monitor uncertainties, as well as improve project outcomes. Because if you are able to, if you have the ability to identify risk, analyze, prioritize, come up with response strategy, monitor uncertainties, it will naturally have positive impact on the outcome. Okay, so unlike general project management certifications, PMI RMP focuses entirely on project risk management. If you have done PMP, this PMI RMP would be easier for you, because in PMP you have done a bit of risk management. You have spoken about identification of risk, qualitative assessment, quantitative assessment, and all that. So RMP is focused on that from beginning to the end of the course. Okay, it demonstrates that you can proactively, the word is proactively, you are not reacting. There's difference between when you did not envisage something going wrong and it occurs, you have to now address it immediately. But if you are RMP certified, what it says about is that you are proactive, and you'll be able to address uncertainty to ensure that the project achieved its intended outcome. Okay, so why would we say risk management matters? It's a question I've been asking people who are certified, that okay, after PMP, what next? You may want to consider RMP. Why would we say risk management matters? Every project contains uncertainty. Your life itself, your life itself is a source of risk. I hope you know that. Your job, if you have project, your organization, contains uncertainty. And projects fail because risk. Sometimes people are aware that there are risks, but what do you do with that information? Okay, so if your project fails because of uncertainty, you know, then we will say that probably the risks were ignored or they were underestimated. That is why when you identify risks and you analyze all through the course of the project, you will continually or periodically reassess the risk. Okay. So sometimes the risks are just ignored. I've worked on projects that when you talk about risk, people just go, oh, may God forbid, it's not going to happen. Let's all believe it's not going to happen. So they are probably ignored or they are underestimated because the people who can or who are estimating the risk or analyzing the risk are not qualified to do so. All right, or poorly communicated, or you have an idea what the impact could be, but you did not communicate it well or badly managed. So all this and more can have impact on the outcome of your project. And organizations are losing millions because of preventable risk that if they had identified and come up with possible response, they would have been able to manage it. Wonderful project leaders do not eliminate uncertainty. You don't work, sometimes you're talking and people want to apply faith. Mhm. You apply faith, but you just plan it so that if it does not occur, you will not spend money. But if it occurs, you will not be caught unawares. So, um, result oriented project leaders, they do not eliminate uncertainty, they manage it intelligently by identifying and planning for it. And that's the difference between great project leaders and otherwise. All right. So who should earn PMI-RMP? Because sometimes people ask me, so when it comes to PMI-RMP, who can do it? Excuse me, who can do it? It's ideal for project managers, program managers, portfolio managers, risk managers, PMO leaders, project engineers, construction professionals, oil and gas professionals, mining professionals, infrastructure professionals, IT project managers, business analysts, consultants, government project professional, development sector professional. What if I didn't mention your sector? Does it mean RMP is not meant for you? No, as long as you are managing projects, anything you are doing, you may not have the title of manager, but you are engaged in project. Just like I tell people, writing PMP does not mean that you have the title a project manager, a project leader, or assistant project manager. As long as you are involved in project, then you should consider writing PMP. The same with risk, because every project you lead involve risk. So if you are PMP certified, can you write PMP? Of course. I mean RMP, of course, you should. All right. So even if your title is not risk manager, if you make project decisions, you should consider this a certification, PMI RMP. So what are the eligibility requirements? What do you need, that will qualify you to write the PMP exam? They are in three different categories. I mean, you can fall under set A, set B, set C. Let's look at the requirement for set A. Maybe you don't have a degree, because sometimes people feel that they have to have a degree for them to be able to write the PMP. So you don't have a degree, doesn't mean you can't write PMP. You can. It could be high school or secondary school diploma that is global equivalent. That is the first thing. That's where you are. Then it means you have to do 36 months, or you must have 36 months or 3 years project risk management experience within the last 5 years. What it means is you must be able to state that you have worked on projects and showcase risk management related activities that you carried out, because it will be part of your application. And then you must sit in a class that would introduce you to risk management education. And that is where I come in. All right, 40 hours of project risk management education. So maybe you are there or under set A. If you are not under set A, then maybe you're under set B. You have a degree. In PMI, they will say at least 4 years tertiary education. Whether you have a PhD, master's, you are under at least 4 year tertiary education. For you, you need 24 months or 2 years project risk management experience within 5 years. So it means maybe you say project water, what did you do? You identify it, you describe it. And I tell people, when you are providing this information, you are not standing in front of someone that can probe and say, okay, you wrote this, what do you mean? So you have to present your experience in a manner that whoever is reading to ascertain whether you qualify to write the RMP exam would understand what you have written, all right, and then would be able to um, uh, assess or give you the permit to write the PMP exam, the RMP exam, because with that they are proving that you can write the PMP exam, you can write it. You can write it. Okay, so if you have at least a degree, it means you need only 24 months, 2 years of project risk management experience. I usually have a template for my student that helps them capture their experience, and I'll be able to give feedback you know, on it, and guide them to ensure that they present it in a way that increases the chances of approval. Then you need 30 hours of project risk management education. So um, usually PMI has a slide or the set of slides that I buy for my students. Okay, that's a summary of what you need to do. And risk management is actually very easy to fail because people feel, okay, uh, as for me, I'm already involved in risk management in my organization, and I know, don't approach it that way. Don't approach it that way. Okay. All right. So you need 30 hours, and then maybe you are not under set A or set B. You're under set C. You have at least a degree, and but then you need 12 months of or 12 months or 1 year of project risk management experience within the last 4 years, and then 30. The difference between C and B is that you have this degree from accredited um, institution, by, we call them GAC, Global Accredited Council, or so, that you have gone through some form of training that elevates what you have above the set B requirement. So what is the exam? What is the PMI-RMP exam? What does it cover? The exam focuses on practical risk management throughout the project life cycle. So you cannot memorize. Every certification of PMI, you can't memorize. You need to understand that when they create a scenario, you can tell that, okay, this is at a risk identification stage, or no, this is at a risk analysis stage, or no, this is at planning, response strategy, or planning itself. All right. So you need to understand. So don't memorize. All right. So topics that the course covers, and or topics that you are likely going to be examined on, risk strategy. You must, usually your organization has risk strategy that is driven by their risk appetite and threshold. If you work in organization that are risk averse, it means they see risk and they run away or they avoid it. How you approach risk must align to the risk strategy of your organization. If you work with an organization that they are risk seeking, it means you look for it. How you approach risk must align to that. If you work in organization that they are risk neutral, if it comes, if it doesn't come, you understand? So there must be risk strategy, and you will go through that. Risk identification. You have to identify risk. You cannot be saying, I'm sure there are risks. How do you know? So you identify, there are methods that you can use in identifying risk, brainstorming, Delphi technique, and then you analyze the risk you have identified. And there are two ways you analyze the risk: qualitative and quantitative. Quali comes first, which is a subjective analysis. It helps you to determine the probability and the impact of every single identified risk. And after you have determined the likelihood of each risk occurring, the one that has the high probability of occurring and high impact can now go through, let me change that, they may not go through the quantitative analysis, because you don't have to conduct the quantitative analysis on risk that you have already performed quantitative assessment on. So qualitative is subjective, while quantitative, from the word quantify, you quantify the risk, and you must know in what order, which one comes first and followed by what. And then the risk response planning is also another topic that the course would cover. How would you plan to respond to positive risk, and how would you plan to respond to negative risk? Risk monitoring. When you identify your risk, you can develop what you call risk register. Then you analyze the risk, and then you categorize them. Throughout the course of the project, you're supposed to be checking periodically. When you start project, there are a lot of assumptions. There are lots of assumptions. Thank you for those that are on TikTok. Please keep double tapping the screen for likes, and then drop your question in the chat. Okay. All right. So when you start project, there are things that you do that is based on assumptions. As you go along in the project, you are exposed to more information. So you're supposed to be analyzing. So your assumptions are also source of risk for your project, but most of us we actually overlook that. We make our assumptions and from the beginning of the project, and we rise through the project with those assumptions. No, as you go through the project, you even get to know your team members better. You have more information. You understand what the government is saying. You understand what your boss is saying. You understand what your team members are. So you need to monitor risk. Maybe even your assessment that this risk has maybe 20% likelihood of occurring. As you went along and you got more information, you realize that no. This risk has more probability of occurring than what we assign to it. So you quickly update that. All right. So you need to keep monitoring, as well as after you implement um, risk response, you need to check whether it was adequate for the risk, or whether it left what we call residual risk, or it generated what we call secondary risk. So if you are not monitoring, you will not know. You will just continue. And when you identify risk and you analyze, you assign them to owners. So your team member A is responsible for risk number one, your team member B is responsible for risk number two, and all that. You identify risk and you also identify triggers. Triggers are like they are announcing that risk is coming. And so once the owners of risk can identify that the triggers are in, then they start implementing the response. You also look at stakeholder communication. Sometimes people know that the risk has occurred, but I don't know, they want to deceive the stakeholder. So you need to be transparent with your stakeholder. So you look at stakeholder communication and then risk governance, as well as decision making under uncertainty. One of the things that set you apart as a leader is your ability to be composed when uncertainty becomes reality. Do you also run around and people are calling you, "Oh, okay, come, so what do we do?" Then you say, "I don't even know what." No, you understand? you know, it's like when you drive, if you're a new driver and your tire bursts whilst you are driving, you may panic, okay, and apply brake, and then the car will likely somersault turn. If you are experienced, because you have heard, you have seen, you have experienced it, if you're the same situation okay, which is a risk that has become issue, you are likely not going to apply a brake. You are going to lift your foot from the accelerator and allow the car to decelerate whilst you hold the steering wheel firmly, and gradually the car stops. That is what happens when you are given to when you have risk management culture. When the thing happens, you will not be flying all over. You are composed because you had envisaged it may happen. You have planned with your team that it should it happen, this is how we are going to handle it, and you implement that. Okay. So, what are the benefits of PMI-RMP? Because maybe you are asking, maybe I don't even need it. How often do we get risk? And we have a risk manager. Me, I'm not really, I don't plan to do it. And so, what are the benefits? Maybe it will inspire you to consider taking the course. Global recognition. I did my risk management professional, I think 2023 or so, 2024. Yeah, and I did it. I didn't have plan of doing RMP, but PMI, the outcome of one of PMI's research, they do research every year, and the risk immediately after COVID, and they checked how organizations fared after COVID, and it came out that organizations that did well or that could handle COVID scenario were those that had risk management culture. I was like, oh wow, this is something that I have to look into. So, global recognition, PMI certifications are respected worldwide. You know, if you are holding PMI RMP, they know that you earned it. Two, career growth. Organizations are increasingly looking for professionals who can manage uncertainty effectively, because uncertainty would occur. You don't have control over it. You can't say, okay, for this project, let me pray. I don't want it to happen. You cannot stop it altogether. Higher credibility. With RMP, you demonstrate specialized expertise. I explained that we have core certifications and we have specialized certification. And RMP is one of those, that you are not just a project manager. You have the specialized expertise to be able to handle uncertainty. Another benefit is better decision making. You're able to make better decision because you are more informed. Because you're always thinking as you are planning, you're identifying risk. You're not just going at, okay, and I pray it will not happen. Keep your fingers crossed so that it doesn't happen. You are not leading or managing projects like that. And then number five, improve project success. You see, when you have processes in place, it increases the chances of success, and then you can predict the outcome. That is why you can have 10 people working on, maybe, let's say, baking. Once you put processes or steps, and each of these 10 people follow those steps, if they put the cake together, they will taste the same way because they followed processes, or steps. So, because you are risk management conscious and you are leading it, you'll be able to, the outcome of your project will be predictable. There will be less firefighting. I say, hey, it has happened. You're not jumping all over. And there will be better planning and better outcomes. All right. Six benefit is increased leadership value. Your manager, your MD, your CEO will trust you better if you understand uncertainty. Don't go like, hey, when can it happen? How will it happen? Okay, so if this thing happen, what are we going to do? So they will trust you better. So risk management becomes a strategic capability, not just a compliance exercise. The reason why you're executing project is to achieve the strategic result or value or business value for your organization. Now, you must understand strategy. That strategy is from vision and mission of your organization. We want to be the first in Africa. We want to be the first to do ABCD in the world. That is your vision and mission. So you need to come up with strategy to help you achieve that. Once you come up with the strategy, you come up with initiatives based on the strategy to help you achieve those things that you said in your strategy. And the vehicle on which this strategy and initiatives will ride on are projects. All right. So if you are leading projects, you understand uncertainty, and it means that you have a strategic capability or ability to help your organization achieve their goals. All right. And then number seven, applicable across industries. The PMI RMP is applicable across all industries. Just like when you have PMP, you are able to manage any type of project. When I was doing my training of the PMP, I remember how I argued this in the class. The instructor said, it doesn't matter, I'm an engineer. So I was like, so if you're not an engineer, how will you be able to manage engineering projects? It was like, no, you are thinking as a doer. You are supposed to lead people, manage process. I struggled. By 2014, I understood what he meant. And so the same with RMP, risk management professional, is applicable across industries, whether you're oil and gas, healthcare, IT, government, banking, construction, engineering, telecommunications, and all that. All right. Now, why you should earn PMI RMP? Now I'm encouraging you that you need RMP. One, the feature belongs to leaders who can navigate uncertainty. If you really want to excel, to stand out, you need it. Two, artificial intelligence is transforming work and it's a source of risk. So you need RMP. Three, markets are changing faster than ever. It's also a source of uncertainty that you need to master. So you need RMP. Four, supply chains remain unpredictable, which is also a source of risk. Five, cybersecurity threats continue to evolve. All right. Six, climate related disruptions are increasing. Most people did not envisage, if you're in Ghana, did not envisage that we could have flooding when we had flooding. So climate related disruptions are increasing. 7, regulatory environments are becoming more complex. 8, eighth reason why you should earn the PMI RMP. Organizations don't need people who simply manage schedules. That okay, so all you do is to manage the predictable things. When they are laying people off, you are likely going to be part of the people they will lay off. All right. Um, 9, they need leaders who manage uncertainty. Organizations need leaders who manage uncertainties. 10, PMI RMP equips you with that capability to be able to manage uncertainty. 11, RMP is no longer a nice to have certification, it's becoming a strategic differentiator. So, where do you want to be as a project manager, as a professional? If you want to be a, um, someone that your organization cannot easily dispose you of, then you should go for RMP. Now, is RMP worth it? Because the exam is about $384 or so for PMI members, and it's 500 plus if you're not a member of PMI Ghana. Okay, is it worth it? If your work involves projects, if you are responsible for decisions, if you are accountable for delivery, if you want to become indispensable, then yes, PMI RMP worth it. So PMI RMP is one of the most valuable specialist certifications you can earn. Result driven project leaders do not predict the future. I love using result driven project leaders because we have lots of project managers, project leaders. They're just like, okay, we're able to deliver, we're not able to deliver. So if you are focused on delivering results, you cannot predict the future. Nobody can predict the future. However, they prepare for it. So PMI RMP will equip you with the tools, with the frameworks, and mindsets to lead confidently through uncertainty. So if you are serious about advancing your career, this certification deserves your attention. So if you are here at this point, you can scan this QR code to chat with me on WhatsApp, like the video, subscribe for more project management and leadership insights. Share this video with a colleague who wants to grow in project leadership. And if you are interested in the PMI RMP training and exam preparation, drop us an email at info@okinvalley.com or leave a comment below. Until next time, keep managing risk before they become problems. God bless you. Bye bye. All right.